Ancient Papyrus Antivirus. Ancient Papyrus Antivirus. My name is Olu Butterfly Woods, and it is my absolute pleasure as the director of Do More Baltimore to be with you here today. We are extremely honored for you to join us in both an ending and a beginning of a process to crown the new Youth Poet Laureate. It is our 6th annual City Hall Slam, and we could not do it without you, and we are so honored. You could have been anywhere in the world, and you are here with us today. So first, I would love for you all to give yourselves a round of applause. Let's break the energy. Yeah. Thank you. To deliver our opening remarks, I'd like to invite 2 council members. Our first council member is Zeke Cohen, a former Baltimore City public school teacher. He ran a youth leadership program and now chairs the education committee on the council. Thank you for joining us today. And we also are welcoming Councilwoman Sneed, who worked in media for 10 years. She was lead of Comms for Big Brother, Big Sisters. She chairs the Labor Committee. Please give it up for our 2 council members and their affiliates. Yes.
Thank you guys for being here. I heard you guys were phenomenal for the last couple of years, and I made it a point to be here to hear you guys. And so I'm so excited about what I'm going to hear tonight. Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Ray. I also have a little baby. She could not make it here with me tonight, but she will be here next year. I promise you that. Look, just want to say again, thank you to Victor, Kenneth, Olu, Marin. Give it up for Marin, our last year's champion. The whole Do More team, the Enoch Pratt Library, and everybody else who is here tonight. And let me just tell you really quickly why this is honestly one of my favorite and probably my favorite event. And I have been coming to this since before I was a councilman. Ask Kenneth, it's true. The reason I love this event so much is that poetry is healing. And I say that because we as a city are in a lot of pain right now, especially young people in our city, tell me if I'm wrong, are in a lot of pain right now. A couple days, about a week ago, there was a quadruple shooting at a playground right outside of 2 elementary schools, right when they dismissed in O'Donnell Heights in my district. So you had 4 people get shot. And let me say, if this were Northampton, where I grew up, they would have called it a mass shooting. But because it's Baltimore, they didn't. And because we're in Baltimore, those 2 schools didn't even get a single extra trauma counselor the next day. Young people deserve better. And when I went there to Halliburtt Academy the next day to go talk and hear from some of the young folks, there was a young woman, her hand was shaking. She came up to me and she said, "Councilman, I'll tell you this. Yesterday, when this shooting happened, my 3-year-old brother was walking around that playground. And he literally had bullets whizzing by him left, right, and center. My mother was with him, and right now, he's so scared he can't speak." Right? Too many of our young people are in too much pain, and we as a city and as a city council have an obligation to do something about it. And so I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you for what you're doing, because poetry is healing, and we as a city, especially right now, need to hear it. So thank you all for what you're about to do.
Thank you so much. And without further ado, I would like to bring you your host for the 6th annual City Hall Slam to select the new Youth Poet Laureate. Please give it up for Slangston Hughes.
Welcome, everyone, to the 5th Youth Poet Laureate of Baltimore celebration. And I say celebration because it's not really a poetry slam, it's a celebration. And this marks the 5th year, the 5th anniversary of this awesome program being a part of our city. So put your hands together for that, first and foremost. Now, this has been a very rigorous process. This is actually the 3rd phase of the competition. First, students submit their work and it's reviewed by our panel of 10 judges who I'll introduce in a moment. And then out of those, the top best submissions are selected, and then they get to meet and greet the judges, which I think is a really awesome difference between how some poetry slams work and how this one works, is that you really get to see the people before you see the poets. And so before we get started, first and foremost, an important crowd etiquette thing is put your phones on vibrate or off, so that someone's not doing a wonderful poem about their awesome grandmother, and then all of a sudden 2 Chainz just starts blaring from the back of the room. I know I would not like that in the middle of my grandmother poem. And 2, this is actually the culmination of a whole festival that we do every April. This year it's a little different. We usually start off the festival with Youth Poet Laureate. This year we are closing out the festival with YPL. So if you're on social media, you're talking about something really awesome that moves you, just hashtag Artivism 2019 or hashtag Do More Poetry. And before we go any further, let's take a second to thank our sponsors, because without our sponsors, none of this would be possible. Before the contestants came upstairs, they got a chance to meet with Jack Young, who surprisingly found out that one of the organizations that he started is one of the funders. So give it up for the Youth Fund. Give it up for Baltimore Community Foundation, City Neighbors High and Middle School, Baltimore Children and Youth Fund, Baltimore City Public School, Baltimore County Public Schools, Enoch Pratt Free Libraries, T. Rowe Price Foundation, Maryland Humanities, and Urban Word NYC. Give it up for all of our sponsors. Now, audience, be warned, the poets may have you crying, they may make you laugh, make you think. Some of the topics may be sensitive, so we encourage anyone who needs to step out of the room, please do so, but be sure not to disrupt the poet on stage. Are y'all ready for the slam? No. Who said no? If you said no, you are correct. That was a very boisterous no. You can tell that you go to Western High School. No, because first, we can't have a slam without the judges. And we couldn't have any of this process for Youth Poet Laureate without the judges. So I'm going to introduce you very quickly to our illustrious, yes, illustrious judges. I got that word from a poet named Nate. So first and foremost, I will say foremost, because they are passing this pen to whoever will be next. We have the 2018 Youth Poet Laureate and 2018 National Youth Poet Ambassador. Give it up for Marin Wright Kerr, AKA Lovey. She is a member of the Baltimore City Youth Poetry Team and a Brave New Voices International Slam Champion. Next, we have Sonny Ray Walker, also now known as Raw the Pyramid. He won the first Mike Life Magazine Poetry CD Award. He's a producer, a DJ, an MC, a poet, a videographer. He's many, many awesome things. Give it up for Ramon Walker, AKA Sonny Ray. Next, we have Monique Cox. She is a lifelong dedicated to youth development, an arts advocate, and a project director for young audiences, as well as a Do More board member and a publisher for Do More's poetry books. Give it up for Monique Cox. Then we have Dr. Deidre Badajo. She is a professor of African American diaspora studies at the University of Baltimore, published writer, memorist, academic from New York, lived all over the world, including in West Africa, for almost 8 years. Give it up for Dr. Badajo. Then down here on the far end, in the navy blue blazer, we have Professor Peter Brooks. He's a former media art professor at Coppin State University. Mr. Brooks now runs his own school, the Counter Academy, and in the Customer Academy, and is the grandson of Baltimore legend Cab Calloway, who was the first African American to sell over 1 million records with Minnie the Moocher in 1931. I remember, I was there. Peter Brooks is also my most favorite teacher in my whole life of all the teachers I've had, K through college. I just thought I'd throw that in there. Next, we have back down to the other end of the table with the fly hairdo is Shinyere Wright. She is a poetry and writing teacher, multi-award winning poet and author, repeated recipient of the prestigious New Voices Award, Excellence in Adolescent Fiction, author of Black Fairy Tales, and director of the Baltimore Scene, curator of Word War Poetry Slam, which will be entering its 10th year this year. Give it up for Shinyere Wright. Then right in the middle, we have Sarge Solomon. Sarge has been in Baltimore for 8 years, and he believes that the voices of these poets are the most resident of the city. Give it up for Sarge. And Sarge was also the curator of TEDx in Baltimore for, I believe, about 7 or 8 years, and I was the final speaker that he ever had. Little salt, pepper, ketchup. Then we have Andy Ellis right here. Former debate coach, Green Party organizer, and Do More Baltimore board member. Give it up for Andy Ellis. And then right here in the hat, the second judge with a hat, we have Anthony Maul. He is the author of Out of Step and a finalist for the prestigious Lambda Literary Award, and a poetry professor as well, professor of poetry and creative writing at the University of Baltimore. Give it up for Anthony Maul. And then to the left of Anthony, we have Abdul Ali. Abdul Ali is a musical artist, a writer, a curator, a 2018 Ruby Award winner, and featured as an artist coming up in Baltimore in New York Times Magazine. Give it up for Abdul Ali. So, that is all of our judges. That means we're ready for a slam, right? What? We're not ready for a slam? Well, first of all, you're probably wondering what a slam is. I'll tell you. A slam is not important. A slam is just a Jedi mind trick to get people to pay closer attention to the stories and the poems of the poets of these youth who are about to come up here. But that's not really what we're here for. Not here for the points. It's just a trick. We're here for the poetry. But how does this Jedi mind trick work? I'll tell you. We have 10 judges. The poets will come up and perform a poem. They'll each receive a score from each judge between 1 and 10. The highest and the lowest will be dropped for that poem, and then the middle 80 will get the score. The highest any poet can get is an 80. There'll be 2 rounds, all poets in both rounds. And the cumulative combined of both of those scores will be what it will be. We don't care about the points, though. So that's how the slam works. But we cannot start the slam until we have a sacrificial poet. Clearly, I thought there were poets here, but they're actually savages. That was scary. But yes, this is the calibration poet, or the sacrificial lamb, who comes up and sets the energy, does the first poem, and gives the judges their calibration point. So judges, you may take this score that you put down for this, kind of put it in the corner somewhere. This will be your comparative score for the rest of the slam. And we're going to have a calibrator before round 1 and before round 2. And we have an awesome slam lamb. Someone was supposed to say bad. We have an awesome slam lamb to start off our slam here today, representing the Design School of Baltimore and an alum of Maya Baraka Writing Institute. Put your hands together for your sacrificial poet, Madison Woodward.
Crackheads, crackheads, come get your crack. If you ain't got no money, you better break your back. Crackheads, crackheads, no shorts, no shorts. You owe me $3 from the last time you were short. My skin crawls as I walk my own streets. And the dirtiness of the air makes me hate my own sheets, and the males who sell product like to talk about their skeet. They have children with women who only know about the streets. And in his mind, he realized he can't provide for even himself. So he left his woman and his children, hoping that his absence might help. Junkies are like authors. They use every new day as a new page to try and spill their ink all over me. As if they're using me to write their story, their eyes glisten as they find a new victim, one that they can pull down with them. Because their humanity was taken by this drug that makes them lose their minds. Freebase is from a different time, when we thought we were giving ourselves the freedom, when we were actually scoring up the base of our lives. Now everybody's hypnotized, not knowing who the real enemy is or where the real enemy lives, slaughtered by the CIA torture hunger, feeding off our ignorance and they being our vague informants, warning, this drug may make you have extreme fun, but you also might lose your life when you're done. So yeah, the drugs that they carry in their bag make them feel rad, but they never had examples. They don't actually have real dads. And no, I'm not sitting up here making up excuses, because when I see a teenager nodding off on the bus, they look stupid. But the government wants for us to do this. They want people of the same color to bump heads and kill each other. No wonder it's called a vicious cycle. Black joy isn't expressed by black boys. We don't hear the cries of them, we hear the noise of the sirens of the police who are crying because of the fact that they've taken a life. In Baltimore, the Hammurabi Code doesn't apply, because I thought the rules were an eye for an eye. So why is it that when one of our players go up the bat, they disappear forever, they never come back? When a black life is taken, we should take a white guy's, but when we do it, they're caught by surprise. Because if we ever touch a hair on one of the system's ball players, we'll be given a foul. And that's why the fiends on the corner have thrown in the towel. CIA, the Civil Injustice Alliance. We are all left under the system's compliance. They've planted their seeds and they're watching them grow. We watch one by one as our heads crack open and hit the floor. None of this would have ever happened if drugs never came through the door.
Give it up again for our sacrificial poet, Madison Woodward. Now, quick note, poets, please do use the microphone because shout out to Charm City TV, who is filming this. So this will be televised. The revolution will finally be televised. And so they need you on the mic so that you can be picked up in the audio feed for the footage. And also, just kind of another note about the microphone, you want to be about 4 fingers length, about this long away from the microphone, about this much space, so that you're not too loud and you're not loud enough. So, are y'all actually ready to begin the slam now? I said, are you actually ready to begin the slam now? That energy right there, that's the energy we need the whole time for every single poet. That's television-worthy energy right there. So audience, I'm holding you to it, and I'm also holding you to make these judges listen to these poems. Judges, ignore them, they're not judges. You're extravagant, you were picked because you know what you're doing. They're just wily audience members who are here to listen to poems. Poems, what are poems? You're here to judge. Do your thing. The first poet of the first round of the 2019 Youth Poet Laureate Slam right here at City Hall. Put your hands together right now. Give it up from Western High School, Destiny Butler.
My father makes himself God. Says himself good at seasons, lets his cold fronts meet his warm fronts, leaves me to be and weather the storm, believes he is raising hell, blesses me with fire, then sees me a burning bush, a manifestation of himself, sees my tears like the Red Sea, parts them as passageways for his trauma, and the devil may care, but my father doesn't. For the devil has no place in this church, this home, or maybe this spirit, so my father carries on, leaving me to carry his sins, and I sometimes agree that my father is a God. The only way I can understand myself being crucified, why I'm constantly burned at the stake, and I'm usually burned by his mistakes. See, I often see my father like the earth. The way he makes mountains out of his mold, freckled body, then lets himself avalanche. Leaves me in the rubble, leaves me holier than thou, and maybe that's why I'm never whole around him. See, my father has a spine like a roadway, says he can manage the curves, says there's no need in whining about the winding path his body has become, says here, sciatica and slip discs are more like speed bumps than stoplights. My mother tells me I'm not an architect, not here to fix his faulty construction, but I remind her that Jesus was a carpenter, and if he could find a way to walk on water, then maybe I could find a way to make my father love his daughter. So on the first day, I built hope and watched my home be destructed, and I wept like Jesus, and in a way I realized I am like Jesus, so I asked my God, why had he forsaken me? And in a way, I didn't know whether I should praise him for creating me or rebuke him for never raising me. See, I just wanted to be his Lazarus, but my father knows himself a decaying temple. A house soon to be divided knows that soon he will no longer stand. My father knows the Israelites walked 40 years through the desert, but if the road to being a father will take his last 40 steps, see, that is not a trip that he can chance. For my father is a circle of a man, believing that all begins and will end with him. Soon my father will not be able to walk. Either way, I don't think he wanted to step in the right direction. So today, I become an atheist, realizing I could no longer praise a man whose prayers belonged only to himself, could no longer care for a man who could care more about himself than his daughter. See, I am not that kind of savior.
Give it up again for Destiny Butler. So just one more time, again, poets, you want to be about right here on this microphone. How's this sound? About right here, because if you're too close, then the feed peaks for the TV audio. If you're too far, it might sound good to us, but it don't sound good to people watching at home while they're listening to poems and eating their Cheerios. I would eat Cheerios while listening to poems. Either Cheerios or Oops All Berries, one of those two. So are y'all ready for y'all next poets? Judges, are we ready? All right, give it up next. Coming to the microphone, show all your love. Coming from City College, please make some noise for Anaya Taylor.
It was like the recess bell at school, the way freedom rang. Black people everywhere jumped up and ran towards the new America, the way kids run towards the monkey bars, ready to claim it as their own. It didn't take us long to realize that maybe freedom isn't what everyone thought it to be. See, to them, maybe freedom was the ability to bend and break the system to their liking, to give black people 3/5 of their respect, and attempt to Uncle Sam us back to slavery. And to us, freedom was the ability to still exist, this time not apologizing for it. Maybe their way of freedom was the ability to seize ours. We all sing America, offbeat and out of tune from one another. We sing old school hymnals and rap new school songs, hand in hand with our AK-47s, our Mac 11s, our Glocks, and our 9s. What could be more American than the smell of Southern fried racism at the barbecue of our oppressor's backyard, with murder on their minds and rifles in their palms, hunting down the coolest monkeys in their jungle book, wearing Jesus slippers on their feet so they can remember that they came from the divine right with the divine right to rewrite our ancestors' righteous history. They colored us Columbus, called it a memoir, and called us American, and what could be more American than the school to prison pipeline telling you your occupation in the 3rd grade. It's the way a teacher asks a student where he wants to be in life, and he says an astronaut, and she writes down thug. It's the way he asks the girl next to her what she wants to be in college. She says she wants to go to a good school to be a lawyer, and she writes down Planned Parenthood to major in abortions and be the Barney to his Clyde. I guess orange really is the new black. It is to be trilingual in English, slang, and trauma, but only fluent in the latter. It is to be Rosa Parks to the back of someone's mind because you weren't bright enough or light enough to be their priority, so they ask you to move to the rear. It is to live in the era of modernized Great Depression. It is for the white girl to say nigga and you turn the other cheek because she lives in your hood, so obviously she knows your struggle. It is for me to have to tell my son what it means to lose your family before I can tell him what it means to have one. It is for America to be synonymous with oppression when you are black. It is for America to be synonymous with the greatest country on earth when you're a colonizer, and for oppression to not even be in your vocabulary. So what could be more American than to be the American that doesn't want to be in America anymore? So maybe freedom was like the recess bell, but maybe the ringing of sirens were louder. The cries of little brown boys and little brown girls echoed in our ears when they were in their cages. Maybe the jingling of keys locking another innocent black man up was just a little too loud. Maybe we all sang America, offbeat and out of tune from one another, because we never knew harmony. Unity was a foreign language, and chaos will forever be the new black.
One more time for Anaya Taylor. Shout out to 2 of our previous Youth Poet Laureates chilling in the back, like don't nobody see them. Give it up for Muhammad Tall, the 2017 Youth Poet Laureate, and 2016 Youth Poet Laureate, Hannah Sawyer. Hannah has a book out. You should look up Hannah V. Sawyer. All kind of cool stuff pops up on the Googles, including where you can purchase her book. And Muhammad Tall has a book coming out this month. His first book, so give it up for that. For women who are growing into their hips, for girls who are growing into their hips, is Hannah's book, and Muhammad's book is called Too Broke to Die. So be on the lookout for those literary platinum literary wonderful workings coming down the pipeline of poetic words, or, yeah. Y'all ready for the next poet? Yeah. Put your hands together, coming from University of Baltimore by way of Carver High School. Give it up for Hakeem McDonald.
To the God of flames, I pray. I pray out of respect. I pray that whatever I compose poses no threat. That whenever there's a crunch time, I'm able to hit it back with a punchline. I pray that you continue to give me the strength to carry these flames to a higher power. Make an avatar out of me, Lord, so I can continue to make the fire bend as I ascend to fortune with this inferno that you gave me. I pray that everything that I write and spit fits. Also that it's legit. And no matter how far the bar may be to match, I pray that it's still lit. Since I'm praying, I have a confession to make. I'm not a rapper, but I do rap around my words to keep them bulletproof. I try to send smoke to every stage I set sight on to burn out more scriptures. It's all in the amen. Or should I say amen? For I got a book where I can spray my flames in. I pray that their spark is kept in the light mint condition so I can live in a condition of enlightenment. I pray that one day the visible heat that knows no pattern becomes more powerful than any bomb that man could ever make. I pray that these flames only take breath away because life itself does not deserve the same treatment. I pray that one day, when I blow my last puff of heat, leaving the fire behind, a lost soul finds it. A lost soul finds it and is resurrected with radiance. Let it scorch them. Let them burn to a boiling point where they can persevere over their problems like peer pressure, depression, hell, even Satan if need be. God of flames, please feel the burn. Again, I say, amen.
Give it up again for Hakeem McDonald. Now, you might be wondering, what does the winner get? I mean, there's obviously shiny trophies over here, medals. First place is Youth Poet Laureate. Second and third become Youth Poet Ambassadors for the coming year. But I am telling you, there are some amazing other prizes as well. I'm not gonna tell you yet. I'm gonna slowly reveal the amazing prizes on the way. Are we ready for our next poets? Yeah. Coming up next, put your hands together, from City College, please give your love to CJ, all the way to the stage.
I wonder, do you know how it feels to die? To have your lyrics crushed and struggle to breathe, to be offered up without a second thought, to feel your skin be peeled off like a piece of fruit. No? I wonder, have you ever performed then? The lights are always too bright. The mic is either too far away or too close. People, you look at them and they look at you.
The sound of pens against paper is as loud as thunder. The sounds of pens and pencils on paper is like thunder. It always gets louder the closer you get.
Please give it up again for CJ. Now here's one awesome prize that every single poet who poets here today will receive. Everybody gets to go to the baseball game and sit up in the mayor's box, all the way up in the top, in like the comfortable living room of baseball watching, and there's all kinds of food and stuff just there for you to eat. So even if you don't like baseball, but you like food, it's an awesome experience. I didn't get to go last year because I was busy, but I heard that y'all partied up in the mayor's box. Maybe slightly too hard. That was the year before, okay. Well, then the year before y'all partied slightly too hard in the mayor's box. Are you ready for the next poet? Yeah. Put your hands together, coming from Woodlawn High School. Give it up for Samuel Glover.
Moon Mother. At night I lie awake with the memory of my loved ones, or lack thereof, a spanless void of the woman that I wish she would have been, the mother that I should have had but couldn't, the mother I wanted but realized I wouldn't, the mother I wish I had but did not. I remember her for just a moment. Then there's an absence of her presence in my mind and in my life, much like the absence in my heart. It pumps every empty chamber full of nitroglycerin, sets my blood to an explosive boil. Every second I look to the night sky and try to recollect the moment that my body became an ignition, where my hatred was the only key that made all cylinders fire, where my soul recognized my mother as the push start, the big bang, the fire starter, the gaslighter. This was when I realized in the deepest part of me that I couldn't recall a memory worse than the feeling of a woman who couldn't recall that abandoning me was something that burned scars into my memories. A woman who could have a son and then regret it. A woman who could have a son and then forget him. The same woman who could have a son that would make her son, the same woman who could make her son's blood boil like a newborn sun to a lonely galaxy. I've become a red dwarf. I may not burn the hottest or the brightest, but I still burn red because something's got me heated enough to get me to this moment. Somehow, my mother was an astrological symphony that sent for me, created me like Van Gogh in a starry night sky. So it's nighttime, and the other stars are all that keep me company. The mother that I wish I had would have been like the sun, warm, but instead my mother is like the moon. There's craters in her soul, destruction dripping from her body from every time she's knocked down everyone around while protecting her own, pushed and pulled like the tides, broken on the inside, breaking others on the outside. My mother is like the dark side of the moon. Half of her was never facing me, that side has grown cold. Half of her would deface me, rip me all apart. This was just the start. Constellations of alcoholism turned to a fatal vanity, a full vanity at the expense of the dimming of her heart. This woman was no more than a stone that willed to be a gem. In her own ways, she was strong, but in others, she had life all wrong. She acted as though she had no effect on this world. But what happens to the earth, the rock, the sun itself that's attempting to glow even in the dark, the very sun itself that's attempting to shine even when there's no light out, when the moon doesn't realize that it's shifting the tides, or rather that it's gone from the night or gone from her baby boy's life? What if the world was lunacentric? What if the life he lived revolved around pleasing her because he lived among the earthbound stars that can only escape when there's no more daylight left? And if somehow he looked up to you because you tugged at heartstrings like you turned the tides, that's gone now. My mother became like the supermoon. Her manipulative pull became so close to becoming too great, so I had to fall back. Collapsed in on myself like I collapsed from the blows every time she came home. Collapsed in on myself, but a red dwarf cannot supernova. A red dwarf is not big enough. I watched my mother fade to black, Maybe that's to mention that my mother is like the new moon that helped me develop a fear of the dark, because who wants to be beaten in a shock at 3 a.m. and look up to being left alone? My mother is like, my mother is like, my mother is like the man in the moon, always smiling, goofy, but I couldn't tell if that was because of her cynical sarcasm or the alcohol on her breath when she walked into my room. I watched addiction kill my mother in the bright light. I felt her try to kill me in the nighttime. Every bottle, every bar, every party, every blow, every strike. Now when I look around in the dark, there are hallucinations of hatred in my every sight. My mother is everything that I dreaded in life, much like everything that I hated about the night.
Give it up again for Samuel Glover. Are we ready for the next poets? Please put your hands together for the last poet of the first round. Show your love the way you did for all the rest. Please give it up for Delicia Green.
I am my creator's thoughts, paper personified. I push boundaries and borders, white hands push me into bad neighborhoods, me and crack in competition. We both rock nations, our corrupt black minds, create cracked heads, then send them to the pen with just a pen, point, period, call it unjust. But all is fair in love and the war on drugs. A minimum wage war on poverty. Bomb black children with the school to prison pipeline. I don't bang with black people, but I bang black people. I got brands on my back in the name of freedom. I got names on my back synonymous with freedom. Black ink is smudged on the Bill of Rights, so coloreds already got a taste of freedom. I am Jim Crow reincarnated, kept black people separated with incarceration. I be the law, written by white men with a godlike complex. Write a few amendments, now the commandments. Moses part the Red Sea, Andrew Jackson part of the Trail of Tears. With a treaty, the Constitution is Bible. I am a bill, am an act. Actions speak louder than words. What happens when you are both? Don't you know how much power pieces of paper possess? Whether it be a bill or a bill, freedom papers or a warrant, I control your life. Remember when the officer who killed Stephon Clark didn't get charged for murder? That was me. The district attorney said no crime had been committed because no law had been broken. The cops and I be smashing. They laid down the law, and there's still enough space on this bed to either put you down or bend you over. Don't you get it? I am your God. I kill and receive no punishment. What's an eye for an eye when you are Hammurabi's code? I kept slavery alive. Rebranded the correctional institution. Schools are still segregated. Ask your taxpayer. Clean water only goes to the fair skin. Look at Flint. I don't change. I evolve. I am the law. Ain't it ironic? White paper has more privilege than black people. White people will protect me just so I can harm you. You think bullets your enemy? 12 the reason why you scared. Afraid to be put in a box and have the walls close in on you, nigga. That's what project housing's for. So the next time you want change, want a revolution, want equality, remember, I am your biggest threat. White paper with black words written by white men out to destroy black worlds. I be paper cut deep. I make 3/5 of a person, turn it to 12% of the American population, and convert that into 34% of the prison system. Even though black people built 100% of this nation, I'm evil like that. I'm legal like that. I'll outlive you and your people, and by the looks of it, I'm almost done. I be the law. Obey me, or break me, I will be enforced by any means necessary.
Give it up again for Delicia Green. And give it up for all the poets and all the poems in round one. Now, before we go to round two, we have a special treat. We have a feature from none other than the 2018 Youth Poet Laureate of Baltimore. I'm not even going to say nothing else. No more superlatives necessary. It's all translated into her awesome afro. Okay, I'll say one thing. She's the current Grand Slam champion, Youth Grand Slam champion of Baltimore. And, like I said earlier when I read her bio, she is a Youth Poet Ambassador of the United States of America. There are only 4 of those. So she's the one who represents the whole eastern coasts, all the east, during the seaboards and the stuff in the east, that whole part of the map. It's all this youth poet right here. Put your hands together for our feature, Marin Riker, AKA Love It!
Hello. I'm gonna do some poems for you guys. Is that okay? Wow, all right, that's cool. You lucky you're not slamming. Let a poet be president. Let the Oval Office be a soapbox. Scrub it clean for the first time ever, because poetry trumps Trump, standing up stanzas instead of building up walls. What is more patriotic than a pen? Leaving irreversible marks wherever it lands, ain't that American? Immigrating from pocket to page, ain't that American? Red or blue ink on white paper, ain't that American? Let a poet be president and no more wars be waged. Just spoken word turn arrow, shot from a Cupid's bow to make this country know love for the first time ever. All armies armed with group pieces, instead of gunshots, just snaps. And the only fire to be found would be this poem. But if not, let a poet be soldier. We are armed for civil war that is anything but civil. Enough tear gas for all the tears this country has caused us. We will keep guns on us like we used to keep journals. Let poets slam, but soon enough, not each other. Thank you. I'm gonna do some more poems, but first, I understand why y'all been having problems with this. This is so loud. Am I cool if I'm right here? Am I cool if I'm right here? I'm cool if I'm right. Okay, all right, bet. So I just wanted to congratulate you guys. I'm so proud of you, my youngins, even though like some of you are older than me, but it's okay. I just want I'm so happy to Kenneth said I get to announce the winner. I'm so excited. I've been thinking about it for months. Cause being YPL is so stressful, but it's lit at the same time. Throughout this whole year, I've found more confidence in my own opinion. People actually listen to me, and that is definitely cool. Being YPL is being both the torch bearer and the torch, and being able to have that flame in you, that's lit. I'm gonna do some more poems. Okay, cool. How hard would it be to find Nemo if he were as dark as the ocean floor? There are too many other fish in the sea to see him suffocate, and I've been told we all look alike, so how hard would it be to find his body amongst the rest of us? How hard would it be to find Black Nemo,
'Cause in Baltimore, Sally can sure as hell sell seashells by the seashore, but you can be sure a nigga like Nemo can't sell cigarettes without assassination. Call it Finding Eric, because of course you cannot breathe when you are drowning. How can the rest of us just keep swimming? We were already fish out of water to begin with. Out of wishes, out of ways to wade in the water so we don't wave our freedom goodbye, because I feel like currently it's a black Nemo still lost in the tides from, let's name the species, to trapped in a tank in like 3 scenes. How hard would it be to find black Nemo still dog paddling through the school to prison pipeline? Ain't no way to be more Pacific about the Great Barrier Reef keeping my people from succeeding. If Nemo was black, would his father even know he was lost to begin with? Would Black Marlin ever stick around the sea to see his seamen be men? Or would he follow in the flippers of almost any black father and be clownfish? Be clown? Be too lost for finding Nemo? Maybe that's why so many black boys are falling off the deep end. How hard would it be to find Nemo's bones alone, disintegrating in a predator's stomach? Because I'm a nice shark, swims off a great white president's or a great white police officer's tongue too easy, because body cameras ain't waterproof yet. Because shark tails are the only parts that ever come to the surface, so of course they never reflect the truth, because America be Shark Week on repeat. If man is 70% water, how hard would it be to find Nemo within ourselves before his life goes down the drain? And no, all drains don't lead to the ocean, kid. All drains lead to sewage, lead to a storm of very Pacific proportions. And I wonder how hard would finding Nemo be then? Great White Shark says, fish are friends, not food, I reply. With friends like these, who needs anemones? Thank you. And I have one more, and then I'm gonna get out of your hair and keep on judging you, which is a hard thing to do because you're all amazing. Yeah. I love it when people give me hearts back. That's beautiful. Yes, keep doing that. Okay. Yeah, I have one more, and then we can get back to the slam. Okay. Growing up ugly, you begin to turn any compliment into an irrational equation, equating to a lie. Can't co-sign something nice about yourself without going off on a tangent in your own head. A surefire sign that self-doubt grows like trigonometry. If you divide every flaw out, there's barely a remainder to factor back in and add the gap between my top and bottom teeth to a little extra baby fat minus the amount of eyebrow hairs that I should have, and you'll find me parallel to the mirror with a negative expression, thinking I must be an obtuse girl before I ever think I'll be a cute one. I thought I could make up for my lack of makeup at lunch. How many times tables became parentheses. Around the world I wanted to live in, I was trapped next to an inequality symbol. Ironically, the only things I was secure about were my insecurities. Growing up ugly, there was no point in talking to someone shaped like a circle, so I tried being the funny one, like, well, I was 6 afraid of 7. Because 7 ain't 9. But what do you do when you think you look like you ate 7 and 8 to 8th grade? Me, pi was always infinite. Pi was always nearby when nobody else was. Ain't it funny that love can't handle love handles? Like there's not enough space, like too many numbers trying to fit inside the screen on a calculator or a scale. How am I supposed to grow healthily when my body felt like it was made from square roots? So I square up with my insecurities until they're equivalent to 0. So I remember that I am an obtuse angle, and angles are measured in degrees, and obtuse ones like me are higher than 90 degrees, so I must be hot, right? I was never fair in height, but at least I'm high and fair in height. You'll find me parallel to the mirror with a positive expression, staring at the asymptote on that cute mother function. Let me be irrationally hot. Let me make a calculator overheat in my hands. Love can't handle love handles, right? So it's a good thing I can. Thank you. Okay, continue on with the slam. You're doing great. I love you.
Give it up again for Marin Wright Kerr, AKA Lovey, the Youth Poet Laureate, for about 20 more minutes. Olu Butterfly is the program director of Do More Baltimore. Give it up for Olu Butterfly, who has a special announcement.
So we are a grassroots organization, Do More Baltimore is, and that means that our marketing budget is a little less than multi-million dollar. So whenever we have people gathered, it is a requirement that we express ourselves and possibly pass the hat. So we are in the middle of a beautiful campaign. We just got finished, as was expressed. This is the tail end of a festival that we do every year. And we had young people from all over the city come together as a culmination of participating in our Do More Youth Poetry League clubs this past Friday and Saturday at City Neighbors. And we operate on donations and of individuals and foundations. And we like to remind you that you all are our bosses. We are governed by the community. So you tell us and you show us that we have a space and that we are working for you. So this year, our goal is $25,000, which seems like, whoo, I don't know if anybody happens to have that in their pocket right this minute. But the beautiful thing is that John Brothers of the T. Rowe Price Foundation already pledged $10,000 towards that. Right, so that catapults us a little further along, and I know that when you see the goal and we know that if we pull together, we can make it happen. That is everything. So we are hoping that you will join us in preparing for our next school year to make it stellar programming, to go even deeper with our young people and making a space for their humanity and all the wonderful things that are happening in the classrooms when we go there. And we hope that you will join us, will join John Brothers and donate to our goal of expanding our work in more schools. So I don't have to tell you whether it's $1 or a nice big old check. Anything in between is completely welcome. We have a donation basket that we will be passing, and we definitely want to stay connected. Make sure you sign our mailing list and also give us feedback at the end. So we appreciate you so much for coming. Thank you so much.
All right, are we ready for round number 2? All right, so coming up first in round number 2, in fact, coming up first in round number 2, please welcome once again Destiny Butler.
You know, I never understood why hood niggas watch scary movies when the hood feel like Halloween time. Feels like Sleepy Hollow hollows me out the way I've seen angel-faced boys turn ghoul and goblin. I've seen demons in the costume of protection. I've seen the hood suck out souls and turn niggas vampire. Sometimes it scares me how they can bear barren crosses, be strong enough to symbolize their own kryptonite, and sometimes drug dealers be my superhero. Seem godly, make me wonder if that's why they start turning bodies Holy Ghost, paint concrete red, make every day Day of the Dead, and make me wonder if that's what it means to be black. To have your pain turned pretty. Like, ain't that why we've seen black bodies hung like decoration? Why I've seen niggas lit up like jack-o'-lanterns? Why black culture gets turned into, like, Totally Coachella, or like it's totally not blackface. While white girl take my almond joy to cover her cookies and cream, then call me a Sour Patch Girl. Ask why black women are so mad, so bitter, so bland. So I bring up Sandra, bring up Corinne, bring up every time a white officer pulled over someone I love for, being black. Bring up the time a white officer told 7-year-old me that I look suspicious. Told me go home, told me stop crying, told me don't you know you old enough to go to jail, and white girl goes silent. I tell her I'm not religious, but in the presence of red and blue lights, I pray that I won't soon see a white one. Pray that if the only way I can find God is in the barrel of a white officer's gun, then I would rather live in sin. I ask her if she's ever been afraid of the police. Does she think that her skin makes her a deadly weapon? Does she think they will always protect and serve? I ask her if she thinks being black in America is more trick or treat.
Give it up again for Destiny Butler. Are we ready for the next poets? Judges, are we ready? So, another really awesome thing that happens at Do-More Baltimore is we have a whole cohort of youth who are now transitioning into being teaching artists themselves, who came through the program and now are part of going back into schools and giving back through the program. So shout out to Summer Nights, who is one of such youth. She's also in charge of the Safe Space today and is a coach in training for the Baltimore City Youth Poetry Team. And she won 2 world championships too, that also happens. All right, ready for the next poet. Coming back to the podium again, put your hands together for Hakeem McDonald.
If everlasting peace is nothing more than imagination, then I must be some type of garden tool. For the dirty minds, y'all know what I meant. Let's talk about currency. If that is all on a person's mind, then where can they receive the income of faith to keep themselves up on the inside? Whoever this applies to is now being recommended Jesus. On God, more like in God we trust, for you to get us this paper. But on the for real side though, let's move on. Tick, tock, tick to the mother loving talk. What time is it? Wait, never mind. Let me erase it and switch up the question. Time is what? Time is a waste of time if you ask me. See, if time was truly money, then a poor human being would only be make-believe. Time's up. Now over to type, stereotype, labeling out of ignorance. How can one give another a tune they may not jam to? Let's say, for example, you're feeding a child that you know nothing about. Without hesitation, you give them a Happy Meal. And without hesitation, the child smacks you upside your head. Well, how come? From you assuming that a Happy Meal can make any kid happy, you never really came to find out that what that child really wanted was some Chipotle. Hey, society, I got some words for you. What's up with you and raising people who always waking up on the wrong side of where they sleep? It's almost as if you put piss into what they eat without them knowing. I understand why there are some who don't like living within your boundaries. If you are so-called the world, and the world is a so-called cold and heartless place, then tell me why people are easily butthurt when things aren't seen their way. Like, whatever happened to agree to disagree? Society, your back is way too stiff. Calm down. Take a joke. When recollection is said and done, you will be left to think about the following. The power of money, placing life in the capsule of numbers, that's time, living in a world that is slowly but surely overdosing on saltiness and classifying without class. To be honest, it's sad, but at the same time funny. I'm not practicing anything, I'm not preaching nothing. All I'm saying is that y'all, we got problems, and malnourishment of solutions, unfortunately, is one of them. But cheer up, at least you're alive.
Once more for Hakeem. Now, as I stated, there's some really awesome prizes that are in store for the top 2 poets. All 3 will receive trophies, but second place gets 4 tickets to Circus Olay. 4 tickets. Are you ready for the next poet? Welcome back to this podium, Samuel Glover.
Trigger warning. My ex was an abuser and a user. That means both manipulative and a junkie. So it's funny how I never expected to lose her to anything but an overdose. Begged her to stop taking pills, and I bet you'd imagine my shock the moment she told me she didn't want to be with me anymore on our anniversary. My whole world fell apart. It felt like she ripped my heart from my chest. Like my life itself was uprooted and nothing was quite there anymore. And now when it's all passed to the past, I'm left with an open letter opening scars. This is 3 questions to the maker of my trust issues. Number 1, how have you been doing? I'd be lying if I said I didn't miss you and that I wish you well, but don't get me wrong, you're the most unhealthy thing that I've ever loved. You beat my heart to death, filled my lungs and choked me calm like the smoke of a cigar, like the smoke of a blunt. You left me numb and mellow all at once, but you hated weed. Got angry and took me as a punching bag more than you took me as a significant other, so I guess you could say I'm more of a body bag or a rag doll than a lover. That being said, number 2, do you know what real abuse feels like? The feelings of never having been touched except by the heart of a person who methodically tore you apart. No fists having indented upon skin, and yet a crater of impact still remains. A crater filled with false allegations of abuse, confusion, and pain. You said I was abusive. Did my abuse come to you in the form of staying with you in the low light? When you trip off anti-psychs, not going to sleep until sunrise just to make sure that you got through the night. I couldn't ever even think bad of you. And even now, I refuse to throw dirt on your name despite the pain. I've become domesticated and well-trained. Speaking of which, number 3, do you know what domestication is? It's the process of changing someone as a means to keep them in close as a pet, taking advantage of their blind loving while you lead them to the slaughter, how you've dragged them playing favorites so they would go willingly, how you've dragged them into a coffin, from how you've coughed up the proclamation of unwilling declaration, from how you've coughed up the social coffin so his friends would never look at him the same. You've placed placed me between 6 feet of dirt and defamation of name, and I'm still recovering from how you took the feelings revolving around us and twisted them to make you look like the heroine, or maybe the heroine. Aren't you addictive, or maybe insane? Became a controlling substance that played marionette with a poor man's heart who only had that to give. Became the air I breathe, the drug I injected that helped me live until you tried to stop my heart. And when I took a step back to get a reality check, you turned my whole reality into an empty trap house. But you couldn't stand to take the fall because you've only ever been pill high. A junkie for Red Bulls and painkillers, and a sadist for others' misfortune, but you couldn't live with the guilt of killing what was once your favorite, so like a bull with no horns, you flew away. I guess Red Bull really does give you wings. I hope you're happy now, whatever you're doing. because I know that controlled substances feel good, but they're bad for the health, so I had to let you go. I think that you became my gateway drug, though. Taught me that the best de-stressor is a choice in death, so I'll take mine from black and milds of substance misuse over anxiety or overdose, and your abuse, you gave me secondhand cravings to be numb. Settled my soul under a sea of smoke that rose from the ashes of what we once called love, and P.S. I'm starting to realize that I really like Red Bulls, too. So you know that I really want to hate you, but I don't know how to feel about you anymore. Truth be told, I don't know how to feel too much anymore.
Give it up again for Samuel Glover. All right, are we ready for our next poet? Coming up next to this here podium, welcome back once again, Delicia Green.
My grandfather is 6'1". My grandfather is a tall man, a man of great height. I'm afraid of heights, afraid of falling from them, like an apple falling from a family tree. And somehow, my sister became a reflection of Eve, forced to bite into a forbidden fruit, and is blamed for generational sin. We all know how the story go. A snake slithers his way into a garden, lurks around and winds up a tree. Translation: my grandmother is hypnotized. Embedded in my grandfather's scales, he got her tangled up in a jungle of lies till they tie the knot. Translation: King James Version. He becomes a part of our family tree. Our roots grew rotten like his intentions and his smile. My grandfather's name is James. He molested my mother when she was 13, raped and molested my sister when she was 9. My sister inherited my mother's eyes, along with the generational curse. How do I call that man Pop Pop when he popped my sister's cherry and still sleeps with my grandmother every night? My sister's life became predator versus alienated child. She went from falling from dying trees to collapsing from the Tower of Babel, trying to reach God. My grandfather had prostate cancer, a tumor in his penis. Finally got what he deserved, finally met his match with irony, but was wicked enough to beat death at his own game. He survived cancer, lived through 3 heart attacks. That monster is still living, still breathing the same fire that burnt childhoods alive. How do you slay a serpent when every time we try to cut off his head, another one grows back and touches another child? My grandfather has diabetes. His soul's so bitter, he ate sweets to neutralize. Then, last year, on my birthday, his dances with the devil got cut short. Doctors took his foot so he couldn't walk or would slither. And the other day, he asked me how my sister was. I looked at him with so much hate in my eyes, until I saw that my grandfather can no longer stand tall. He can no longer bear the weight of his own sins. He is dying. And I guess his death is going to have to take one step at a time. And no one will be around to hear him fall.
Give it up one more time for Delicia Green. Now, there's only one poet left in round 2. figured I'd wait this moment before I tell you what the first place prize winner receives. Oh no, wait, I'm mistaken, but I'm still gonna share now. First place is gonna get 2 tickets. 2 tickets to see Cardi B. You seem shocked, as if you don't believe me. And I heard she's gonna be. Yeah, sure, okay. And I heard she's actually gonna be wearing red bottoms. Yeah. Coming up next, to the podium of truth, once more, put your hands together for CJ!
Mom, Dad, I feel recoil. I feel heat. I feel pain. I feel cold. I feel cramped. Mom, Dad, today was the first time I met an artist. Will be the first and last time I act as a canvas. I'll become so famous they'll broadcast me across the nation. Every hallway will conceal the streams of my classmates. Doors will shudder at the sight of anyone that enters them. Windows will hold the souls of those lost to the masterpiece we created. Never before have I thought something not really alive could make me phenomenal. Mom, Dad, is this all a part of some game? I thought you said parents don't bury the children. Mom, Dad, did I miss something? All I did was go to school, so wasn't something supposed to miss me? I guess I was birthed to be absent and wear tardiness as a false shield. Connecticut, Florida, Austin, Virginia. I don't remember where I lived. Mom, Dad, I don't want to play anymore.
Keep it going for CJ. One of the judges is sending me smoke signals. I'm lucky it's the same judge who shares a brain with me, but I'm still somewhat confused. I'm just gonna stand here like this and pose like an action figure until I figure out what's going on. Hello at home, people watching. This is the part of the sequel that gets really deep. The theme music goes like it's the theme song to the cliffhanger part of the Poetry Slam. Oh, in the meantime though, word from our sponsors, shout out to, please put your hands together for our tremendous bout staff who has helped to make this flow so smoothly. Our bout manager, Kenneth Something, our scorekeeper, Dana Polson of the Do More board, and our timekeeper with the fly outfit, Mechamorphosis. You're the timekeeper, not the invisibility keeper. Are we ready for our last poet of the last round of the 2019 Youth Poet of Baltimore Jedi Mind Trick Slam? Please welcome back to the stage once more the suspense. Anaya Taylor.
I always thought it was weird that when people talked about women of color, they would address them as black women, spit with the venom that could only come from the devil's tongue. So when thinking this, I've come to the realization that my woman will never equate with my blackness. That when Trump grabs us by our suffrage, as he drains us of our choice, he will drain us of our woman too. There will be no discrimination in this. Boys and men had told me to shut up so many times that it went through one ear and my voice came out the other. Leaving a black thing in the shell of something that was once known as a girl. When I was 8, I witnessed my mother get beat countless times. For every word that exited her mouth, another bruise was attached to her face. It was the one thing that I fully understood about science at that age. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. I always thought that my mother was a Proverbs 31, but maybe when he dragged her down the steps, he dragged her noble character too, leaving me to stare at the trail of praises that she left behind. Will my magic still work if I am more black than girl? Will my powers still work if I deactivate my melanin? When I am catcalled on the street, will you see me then? When the man underpays me, will I still be a woman? When the hall monitor calls my body distraction, will I still be a woman? A direct descendant of Mother Nature herself, willing to shake up the earth with the snap of a finger or the bite of an apple. We spent millennials paying off Eve's debt for a rib she never bargained for. A woman who was made fearfully, power dripping off her tongue, as fearful as the man who made her.
Give it up again for Anaya Taylor. And please give it up for all the poets who have poeted today. Now that all the poetry and all the judging is done, I can say that I can say, or rather I can't say enough about how talented this year's group of YPL finalists truly are. And Slangston Hughes is who you see right here, right now, but Victor Rogers is this other person I am that like usually answers emails and stuff. And to share a little bit more about my role really briefly as artistic coordinator for Do More Baltimore, I'm in charge of coordinating Youth Poet Laureate and managing the winner and advising the youth council that puts on the Salt, Pepper, Ketchup open mic. And I coach and I direct the Baltimore City Youth Poetry team that competes nationally and often wins nationally. But I promise you that what you see here, it's not just poetry. Like, they're not really writing poems. They're actually writing survival tactics on paper and figuring out how to use those to navigate an all too ridiculous world that they have to live in, especially here in Baltimore City. So what you have seen before you is much more than just poems. There's so many stories, and there's so much survival that has to take place in between the lines. I could tell you about the list that I make just with the Baltimore City team over the last few weeks of like how many personal challenges each member has had and trying to figure out how to best help. So like poetry is kind of like the side chick of the wife that is the life that they are living. No? Okay. Different metaphor. Poetry is the engine that helps them to drive through the hurricane of existence. Okay. See, one is a Slangston metaphor, the other is Victor Rogers' responsible adult metaphor. Okay. Moving on. Hey, TV people, you could just edit that first metaphor out, you know. So that Do More doesn't get letters about the host saying things that the host not saying. On the live stream, you know, who watches that? But definitely go on to Facebook and like Charm City TV. Charm TV, just Charm TV. Like Charm TV on Facebook that has been live streaming this whole time, including everything that I've been saying this whole time. So judges, as you are continuing to do the final tabulation, we have one final poem to take place as the calibration concludes. A member of the Baltimore City Youth Poetry Team, a member of the World Champion 2018 team and the 2019 team representing Western High School, and second place in the Do More Poetry Festival, and the reigning Hyper Bowl East Coast Individual Slam Champion. Give it up for Kima Flight.
I remember the first time I saw my mother light a cigar. She said she did it socially. I haven't seen her smoke since, but her mental cigarettes are still sprinkled across the floor. My mother uses paper lovers as ashtrays and burned through them quickly. I saw her lungs act up daily. She always coughed up things she didn't mean, and nicotine patches were never a good substitute for duct tape, so her words would always come out at 10. I was not a tumor remover, but was afraid of turning her over to other wannabe doctors, afraid that the surgeon she tried to make love to would leave permanent cuts, and now I have secondhand self-esteem issues. I choke and my asthma acts up in the mirror every time I try to love myself. The first time an ex-lover hit me, I didn't leave because my mother taught me that treatment is painful, but it heals you. So I took abuse as if it were physical therapy, as if my rapist had the hands of a healer. My mother's finished rehab while I'm still stuck with a sore throat. I find it hard to speak up for myself. She was not alone in making me an addict because I think I chain smoked my grandmother's depression. My grandmother died of drug abuse, so in my family, matriarch feels manufactured. But I don't know if I call this royalty, call this lavish. It's clear I was next in line to inherit the throne when I asked my dad for pain meds, and he asked me if I was addicted to pills. My father, who saw his mother pass, looked at me like a reincarnation of relapses, looked at me like a hospital bed, looked at me like a gravestone, and I look at this poem like a eulogy to myself. Sometimes I wish my grandma was here so I could speak to her unfiltered, ask her to repair it all. Black grandmothers and mothers are supposed to be the staples of the family, which is why I see mine fall apart so easily. Maybe what it means to be a black woman is to be exhaled to others and to dim ourselves in the same breath, to only light up by someone else's flame, yet not bright enough to illuminate a room. Being between someone's lips is the only time I felt more important than imported. But who doesn't have a hand-me-down broken heart? Who doesn't feel nauseous trying to stomach the person inside themselves to feel beautiful? Being beautiful feels like being weightless, feels like being just a distraction. I don't blame the women in my life for being black and mild, because all we got fed in our lives was smoke and mirrors. Magic lovers used to make us believe they could levitate. This juju feels like deja vu. My mother and I don't linger like a loose one anymore. We both found love after not being seen through the smoke screen. Learned the anxiety and an old habit dying hard. Stopped accepting being snubbed out by someone else's hands. My mother says she wishes she was as radiant as me. I want to tell her we burn just the same.
Give it up again for Kima Flight. Oh, get it? Because she got a Western. So like the doves, flight, doves. Plus that's just actually her last name. All right, so I have the scores, but I'm not gonna tell you. The announcement of 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because we actually have a prize for all 6 finalists. is going to be read by Marin Wright Kerr, 2018 Youth Poet Laureate. So we'll give it up again for Marin, who's just falling to get up here. And because you're so short, you actually did not block the camera while running up the middle of the aisle. And so yes, we actually have something for all 6 of the finalists. So wait, hold up, we're gonna get the
Oh yes, can I get a drum roll? Oh, that's fun. Yay. In 6th place with a score, am I doing scores? Okay. In 6th place with a score of 109.7 points is CJ. Come on up. Come on in. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh. Okay. And in 5th place, oh, yes. Ooh, I like this. I'm about to hit you with the next pose, you feel me? All right. Are we ready for the next one? You ready? Are you sure? Okay. In 5th place, with a score of 120.9, is Hakeem. I'm ready for my first one. Are we ready for the next one? Are you sure? You ready for the next one? Okay. In 4th place, with a score of 133.3, we have Samuel. Y'all claps getting weaker and weaker. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, for the flare of my coat. In 3rd place, with a score of 134.4, I'm sorry, I can't do math, ironically. Anaya. Okay. All right, we're getting closer now. In 2nd place. Oh yes, and 3rd and 2nd are our Youth Poet Ambassadors, and in the 1st place will be the Youth Poet Laureate. Okay. Y'all ready for the 2nd place? Okay, y'all seem ready enough. Y'all seem ready enough. Now in 2nd place, with a score of 146.9, we have Destiny! Are y'all ready? Are you sure? All right, I was trying to be suspenseful, but y'all tell me to hurry up, so I'm gonna hurry up. Now in first place, with a score of 149.8, your 2019 Youth Poet Laureate,